So guys, this is a Replens. I know you probably obviously heard the term Replens, and some of you are probably already doing it, but this is just a really hot topic. And the people that are in the Replens group that are actually putting this to work, the people that are in the Legends group that are doing this, these are folks that have a stable business that they can essentially count on. Jimmy's going to explain all this, but this is from a layman's point of view here. You walk into a store with the grocery list of items, a shopping list of items. You're not always looking for new clearance. You're not driving all over the place trying to find inventory, because you have a stable supply of things that you just have to restock. That's what Replens does. And the people who have been able to quit their jobs, like Jimmy, they have a Replen strategy in place. Now, it would be much harder if he was going around looking for clearance all the time to have that safety to feel like, yeah, I can quit my job. And because with clearance, you guys know you're always rushing around, looking around for brand new inventory. You get it sold, and that's awesome, but then you got to find more again. With Replens, it's more stable. It feels like a real business. So that's why we're excited about this. The success stories we're seeing in this group are awesome. And so Jim reached out and said, hey, let's do a Replens webinar and just kind of explain what it is to everybody. And so Jimmy is the master at this. I'll let him introduce himself, but guys, we're excited to do this. So thanks for everybody for being on.
Yeah, super excited to do this. Jim also mentioned there's a lot of new people too in MST that have probably seen, people talk about Replens that are kind of just wondering what this is and how do they get started. So for those of you that have done Replens it's almost been a year now. It's been 11 months since the original course started. For those of you that have done it, it'll be a good refresher. I've got a few extra examples in here that, I haven't shown in the past, but for anybody that's new, this, in my opinion, is it's the lowest hanging fruit. It's the easiest way to get started in Amazon. It's not necessarily easy, right? It requires hard work, but it's still the most simple way to get started and get used to the platform. And it also allows you to grow a scaled, profitable business like so many other people have in this community. So excited to get in, and I'll talk to you a little bit about myself and get going. All right. So that's me and my beautiful wife, Brittany. We have been together for, I believe it's been 11 years now. So we just hit the 11-year mark in April. We've actually been married, though, since August of 2012. So it's been 8 years since we've been married. I know a lot of people are like, they ask me if we got married when I was 14. That's not the case.
You were 15.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I was 21. She was 20. So we've been together for a while. But it's been awesome to grow up together and start this business and grow it together as well. So before doing Replens, I had a prior job selling commercial insurance to businesses. And Brittany worked a little bit in logistics and did some, serving at restaurants on the side. And it was something that we both hated doing, right? We both hated having a job that we had to go to. We both hated having to rely on other people for our income. And this recent situation with COVID is a perfect example as to why it can be more risky to rely on a job than to rely on yourself as an entrepreneur. And so, working on a business in Amazon or, on a business that deals with selling on Amazon, you're trying to find something that you can scale and something that you can grow. And the Replens model is the perfect opportunity to get into Amazon and get started, as well as something that you really can grow and scale. I mean, I've seen people that have taken this method over $300,000 a month. Obviously, that seems huge. We all started at zero. So if you're looking to get out of a prior job, or you're just trying to create some sort of an extra income stream, is the perfect way to do it. And this is what we decided to do back in December 2015. And I'll run through some of our numbers and the history of our Amazon business here in a little bit. So we run the 0 to 100K Replens course in the Facebook group. So if you've seen my name or you've heard of this course or the Facebook group, that's where, we kind of come from. Now, story by the numbers. So we started December 2015. very part-time. We actually started right out the gate with Jim Cockrum coaching. And that was something that helped us to get some very quick wins and successes. But we were just learning the ropes. We were trying to put in, maybe 5-10 hours a week if we could on the weekends, and just something that we could grow together. In June of 2017, we were at $8,500 in sales. And we were pretty much at that level for a while, just because of the lack of time. And we were constantly looking for clearance deals, constantly looking for new ways to find, high ROI items that we could not replenish, things that we could just find and sell for a high ROI, which is fun. It's like treasure hunting, and that's something that I still love to do every once in a while, but it wasn't something that we could count on. And so in July of 2017, so the next month, we joined Amazon Legends with Ryan Rieger and Danny Stock. And that's where we first learned about the Replens strategy. And really, that's when we started to change our whole mindset of what our business should look like, because we were just getting burned out. We needed something we could count on. And Replens have been around since before July 2017. Danny was the first one to really talk about it, as far as I know, for, a year or two before that. But, it's something that has had a long, stable, consistent, what's the right word I'm looking for? It's just been around for a long time, right? And a lot of people have had success from it. And it will continue to do that because of the strategies that we use to find products and sell them on Amazon. After that, in August of 2017, almost doubled. We went to $14,000 in sales. In February of 2018, we went full-time. And so Brittany had been full-time for a little while. I say full-time. Her job was doing this, was working on our business. It was still a part-time endeavor for her, up until the point when I decided to quit my insurance selling job. And so in February 2018, I went full-time. And in July of that year, we got it up to $39,000 per month in sales. So that's actually high employees. We leased a warehouse to kind of start outsourcing prep and ship. And then after that, in August, we almost doubled. We hit $73,000. And then in April of 2019, we cracked $100,000 in a month outside of Q4 for the first time. So it took us 1.5 years, from July 2017 to April 2019, to go from $8,000 to $100,000 per month. Now, that was with a lot of learning and a lot of building things and scaling this business in ways that we didn't know how to do it. And so now I believe it could go quicker for those that can put in the work. For those of you, though, that don't want a team, it's not necessary to hit $100,000 a month, right? So our goal here is to show you how you can get to $10,000 a month just by yourself, just doing Replens, and have that to be a stable income and steady income for you. And so it's done this for a lot of people. We've had tons of people go through the course, and it's been consistently, able to help people grow their business or start their business with Replens. And so actually April 2020 update, we hit 176. Part of that was due to the COVID situation. There's so much more shopping on Amazon. So right now we average around 140, just so you guys know, kind of an update of where we're at. We have outsourced 90% of the work. Brittany and I don't shop or prep and ship anymore. So that's all part of the 0 to 100K Replens course. But for those of you looking to get to 10,000 or, just grow your business by that amount, this will be very helpful for you. So what are replenishables or Replens? You hear them talked about all the time in my silent team. You hear them talked about pretty much anywhere if there's Amazon discussion going on. And so basically, Replen it's anything. It doesn't have to be a specific product category. It's not groceries. It's not toothpaste. It can be anything essentially that you are selling consistently. So it's replenishable to you as a seller. We're not caring if it's something that as a consumer, they're buying over and over. We just care that you're selling it over and over. And there's ways for us to make sure that that happens before we buy something. So like I said, you're buying it over and over again. And then examples, we will go throughout the presentation, but some examples are toilet paper, ping pong balls, paper towels, backpacks, etc. And so, toilet paper is something that consumers buy over and over, but ping pong balls, maybe, not many do, but you might sell 100 of those a month if you found a good listing, right? And so we'll talk about how to find those here in a minute. So why Replens? Why are we, so excited about this? Why have so many people been posting about it in the groups? The reason is because it gives consistency to your business. It's something that for those of you that got into Amazon and started doing arbitrage, and you've been out doing clearance shopping, or you're looking for the next, hot toy or shoes or something like that, it gives consistency to your business because you're not constantly having to go out and find new products. You're able to build a list of things that you can go out and buy over and over again and really grow your business predictably, which is important if you're trying to grow it. It's easier to outsource with future employees. That's just it's a huge factor in why you want to do Replens, because not only can you outsource the prep and ship, but they get used to those products. They know exactly how they need to prep and ship them every time. There's not 100 stickers, glued to the box of a product usually, because you're buying these things at full price from the store. You're not buying them clearance. And so it's easier to outsource the prep and ship as well as the shopping. If you're trying to outsource clearance shopping to somebody, it's going to be very difficult to train them on exactly what to look for and exactly the nuances of that. But if you've got a set list of replens that you can go give to an employee to pick up once a week or twice a week or however often it is, that's way easier to give somebody to do. It's essentially like they're just shopping off of a list for you. So it's a huge positive to replenishable products. Consistency in prep and ship, and then less turnover. So whenever you're doing clearance, we've kind of talked about it. You constantly have a grind of having to go out, find more and more of those products. There is less turnover in those products because you're consistently able to buy and sell them. So you're not constantly to find new ones. And it's more reliable. That's kind of self-explanatory based off everything that we've talked about. The majority of our sales velocity went up during COVID. We talked about our numbers, and in April we hit 179. I think over a 30-day period, our max got to like 192. So our sales velocity went up because we were dealing in replenishable products. If we had been dealing with clearance products, or if we'd been dealing with, things that we couldn't just go out and find over and over, our business would have gone down. So replens are an excellent way to have a foundation to your business. Even if you're doing private label or wholesale products, if you're doing that and you can no longer get access to those products because you can't get a supplier to send you a shipment anymore, but you have a steady stream of products you can go to a store and buy, then that at least adds an extra stream of income to your Amazon business so that you're more stable if these types of things happen again. Hopefully they won't. But if they did or something comes up, you have a lot more opportunity to keep your business stable from that.
Jimmy, let me jump in. A lot of people are, they ask about, I remember when we first presented this, they were confused about what a replen is. And I know you went over it. Guys, it's literally anything that sells over and over again. It doesn't mean it's replenishable to like me as a consumer. Like for me, a replenishable item might be toilet paper, potato chips, Oreo cookies, something that I consume every single, I don't do the Oreo. I do like Oreos, but that's not something that my wife won't let me do that all the time. But that's not, so for me, that would be something that I consume, and that would be a replen to me. We're talking a replen to a seller. So for example, Jimmy and I use the example of a hammer. If Jimmy is out buying hammers as replens, I go and buy one, and then Jim goes and buys one, and then Gary buys one. I'm looking at people's names on here. Samara, Jonathan buys one. It doesn't mean that I'm constantly buying hammers as a buyer. It just means Jimmy is selling them multiple times in a month to different buyers. He can count on those hammers selling once a day, 5 a day, 10 a month, 3 a month, whatever it is. It just, he knows that every month he's going to sell a certain number of hammers, not to the same person, but to all different types of people. Okay. So that means it's a replen to him as a seller because he can count on it selling over and over again. So we're not talking about just groceries, just toilet paper type items. Those could be replens, and they are replens because they do sell over and over again. But guys, we're literally talking about any type of product, any category. Okay. So a lot of people get stuck there thinking, oh, I have to go to the grocery aisle. You can, but you can go right to the home improvement section and find something that you may only buy once every 5 years, but you have 250 million people buying. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I actually, because we've done this a similar presentation where we've talked about hammers and what replenishables are, I found a product that was perfect to put in here that would fall under that type of a category. So I'm excited to actually give an example for that, because there are tons of them out there, but I wanted to make sure that I included it in here, because no matter how often we might say that, a replen is hammers, a lot of people still go and look at, Oreos and toilet paper, right? So
Sure.
there's a ton of other products out there, and more products are getting added, especially in each different category. So I think that replens will continue to expand into bigger and bigger and broader categories. So I'm excited
Mm-hmm.
for that. But tools needed to find replens. So how do we what do we need to be able to start finding these things? The first and foremost, let me get it. Here we go. So the essentials. So there are two essentials to start on a replen journey. So I try to keep this as cheap as possible in terms of your cost. I don't want you going out there and spending hundreds of dollars on software whenever you're starting out. And so the essentials are, first and foremost, the Amazon Seller app. And whenever you have a seller account, you can use the Amazon Seller app for free, and you can look up products. And so that's what I use still to this day to search for products if I'm sourcing. I still use the Amazon Seller app because it gives me a whole list of everything on Amazon's catalog that applies to the search terms. And we'll go through some examples here in a minute. Then the second one is Keepa. It's about $17 a month. It's actually, I think a UK software. So there's a conversion factor there. And I believe it comes out to around $17 a month. That is necessary for replens. I've seen a lot of people try to go without it, and it rarely works. So just pay for it. It will more than pay for itself by, one of the first 5 products that you find, because you'll make sure that, first off, you're buying right. And secondly, you're not losing a bunch of money buying the wrong things, right? That's more what I'm worried about, is that you go out without Keepa and buy something that was wrong. And so we're trying to prevent that. And so some nice to have applications or software programs, Legendary Sourcing or Scoutify. If you have Inventory Lab, Scoutify comes with it for free. If you're in Amazon Legends, you get Legendary Sourcing for free. So either one will work perfectly. We use them to create buy lists so that we can help our prep and ship process later. It's not the focus of this webinar, but they are nice to have in the future. And Legendary Sourcing gives you some more features for finding products for the people that use it. They love it. And then also easier access to Keepa. So both of these applications have a shortcut to get to Keepa based off of the product that you're looking up. And so that's something that's super nice to have to speed up your process while you're in the store. And then the next one would be, buy list functionality, which I mentioned. And then lastly, patience. A lot of people go out there, they're used to going around and scanning barcodes and I'll talk about that more, but scanning barcodes for clearance products. And then they have become so used to it that they don't like the slowness of finding replens, but that slowness is what's going to allow you to create something that's scalable and stable throughout any of the volatility that we've had recently and moving forward.
Jimmy, we're getting some questions about Keepa, so I'll answer them real quick. Guys, Keepa essentially, you may have been taught to look at bestseller rank, BSR, and that's great, but just realize that BSR is just a snapshot in time right now. So if Jimmy's out at Walmart and scanning something and he sees a BSR and I go there 20, 30 minutes, even just 20 or 30 minutes later, go to several hours later or the day after, it can be completely different. So what Keepa does, or how it prevents you from making bad decisions, is it shows you a zoomed out view of that product's performance. So you can look at a whole year, as long as it's been on Amazon, as long as it's been tracked, and you can see exactly, is that, if the 50,000 BSR, is that what it is right now? Did somebody just literally 5 minutes ago and buy that? And that thing hasn't sold in 5 days or 5 months. And so realize that Keepa is huge. It helps you make better decisions. It helps you not to make mistakes because you can see a longer view of how that product has performed.
Absolutely. No, that's perfect. Sometimes I skip over that stuff. So yeah, that was a
Yeah, and
perfect
so people are
description of
asking
it. So
Keepa versus Jungle Scout versus Helium 10. Guys, Jungle Scout and Helium 10 don't do the same thing that
mhm.
Keepa does. You have to have Keepa for this. If you're talking private label, then Jungle Scout and Helium 10 are really, really good tools. This is Keepa is an absolute must for doing retail arbitrage with replens and online arbitrage because it shows you that data that you're looking for.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's perfect. Any other questions on that?
Let's see. Does Keepa have data of other markets than US? Does it do UK? Oh, you would think it would do
I
UK if
think
it's a UK tool.
yeah, I think it does like Canada and stuff. I'm pretty sure like whenever I've looked in other markets, it shows that information. I'm not 100% though. I
Yeah,
think it
guys, you
does.
just go to keepa.com, keepa.com, and you
Yep.
can get access to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see too, I mean, anybody that's trying to figure out replens, if you look at Jungle Scout one day for a product and it shows, oh, the seller or the best seller rank is at 20,000, so it sells 100 times a month. And then you go a couple days later and it's at 100,000 and it sells 5 times a month. Well, that alone will just prove to you that it doesn't work for what we're trying to do, which is replens. Like Ryan said, if you're looking for private label and wholesale in some cases,
Mm-hmm.
those other softwares can help, but keep is what you need for replens. Okay. All right. So there we go. All right. So how do we find these things? Essentially, first and foremost, go slowly. A lot of people don't like to hear this. We've done in-person training events with people, like just one-on-one training events, and we have to break that habit. A lot of people don't like to go slowly. They jump from one thing to the next. You need to go slowly, and not just slowly, uncomfortably slowly. So if you feel a little uncomfortable, just go a little slower than that, and it'll probably help you in the long run. Because and I don't know if it's on this slide or a different slide, but I will go in an aisle and I can stay there for 4 hours finding products. Now, that is usually if I'm finding a lot of products. If I'm not finding anything, then maybe 30 minutes to an hour. That's still a long time to be in one aisle, and really just the one half of the aisle, because then you turn around and you've got the rest of the thing to go. So just keep that in mind to go slowly. It will pay off in the long run, and you'll be learning throughout the whole process. Do not scan UPCs. That is not how you find replens very easily. You can find replens doing it. The problem is you're going to have more competition. You have a lot of people that can easily find that product. So the way that we typically have described it in the past is whenever you're looking up something on Amazon to buy for yourself, like if you're the consumer, you're not asking Amazon to look up UPC 0123987, right? You're looking up AIM toothpaste cinnamon. Okay, that's what you're looking up. So that's what you need to look up as the seller of the product, because if buyers aren't typing in the UPC, why would you type in the UPC or scan the UPC to find the product? That's how we need to think about it, is what product are we looking for? It's not the UPC itself. We're looking for keywords. So type in everything that you see to the Amazon seller app or the browser. So if you're doing retail arbitrage in the store, then you're going to use the Amazon seller app. If you're doing online arbitrage, then most likely you'll use Amazon.com as your browser. Some people that do online arbitrage still use the seller app because they like how it can help you find more products that are out of stock. Whereas online, it's a little bit more difficult to find out of stock products. But either way, you're basically trying to type in everything in that aisle to find if it's got a profitable listing on Amazon or not. So the question that I like people to ask is, how would you find this on Amazon if you were trying to purchase it? We already went through the UPC example, but basically it comes down to common sense. A lot of times it's like, okay, what is this product? I could type in a bunch of fancy keywords and try to keep my seller hat on, but what is this product to me? And I've got examples. That's what you're trying to figure out. Okay, this is AIM toothpaste cinnamon, or AIM cinnamon toothpaste, whatever that might be. That is what you're going to try to type in first and foremost. So we're looking at brand name, the type of the product, and then the size of the product, which would be ounces or a count. If it's a 6-pack of something, you're trying to type in those different pieces of information as your search. So you start broad and then you get specific. So for instance, I've used AIM toothpaste. I would start with AIM toothpaste and see what pulls up and go to the more profitable looking listings from there. If things are too broad or I'm not finding exactly what I want, then I would go product by product and type AIM cinnamon toothpaste, AIM mint toothpaste, whatever it might be. And then you can even get as specific as the ounces or size. So AIM cinnamon toothpaste, 10 ounces. Okay. So there's an example, AIM toothpaste 6 ounce or Bounty paper towels. Some of them have like different types of paper towels. So you could type that in, like extra absorbent or something like that. But you don't want to get too specific because then you're going to start filtering out results that might have been there otherwise. If you start to get too specific and add in keywords that you think could be in the listing, it can actually hurt your results because you're going to be narrowing your search down. You want to keep it as broad as possible to see all of the listings that pull up from that. So you want to add words after that. Then you can start adding words like bundle, set, pack, or variety. So a lot of times, for instance, let's go to the AIM toothpaste again. You could type in AIM toothpaste bundle, and then you're getting a bundle of toothpaste and a toothbrush that comes with it. And maybe those two things are in the store that you're at, and you can put them together and sell it. If you typed in AIM toothpaste variety, maybe you've got 2 or 3 or 4 different types of that toothpaste. It's cinnamon, mint, winter fresh, whatever those different flavors could be. So that's where you want to start adding those words. A lot of times we don't even get this far. Like if you start broad enough, you start to hit a lot of the listings, 99% of the listings, and you don't have to add in words like bundle, set, or variety or pack because you know that you've already gone through all of those different things just from your broad keyword search. So it does help to find hidden listings. And so I'll explain that. So what a hidden listing is it's hidden to other sellers. Okay. If you scan in a UPC, you're almost always going to bring up one product. Sometimes there'll be 2 or 3 that somehow got tagged to that exact UPC. But if you're scanning a UPC for AIM toothpaste, well, it's just going to pull up one product, and there's hundreds of listings for AIM toothpaste. So these listings, whenever you're typing in keywords instead of the UPC, these listings are considered hidden because they're hidden to other sellers that are just searching by the UPC. Okay. So that's how it helps you to find those hidden listings more if you start adding the keywords of exactly what these products are. And again, just keep it basic. What is this product? How would I find it if I were searching for it on Amazon? And that'll get you 95% of the way of finding these products. So I already talked about the hidden listings. And then there's also in the Amazon seller app, there's a feature where you can picture scan the item. So you can just, pick up the tube of toothpaste and click the camera in the top right corner, and it'll picture scan for images that are similar in the Amazon catalog. It's very helpful. We usually do that after we type in the products because it can find different listings. It's not necessary, but it's an extra step if you just want to make sure there aren't any extra listings on that product. So some search examples, okay? So on the left is, I use an iPhone. So the iPhone Amazon seller app, I believe, gives you different options whenever you start typing in a search word. I don't believe Android does that, but this gives you a good example of what keywords a lot of people are typing in. So you can see whenever I type in Sam's Choice, which is a Walmart brand, it comes up with almond butter, risotto, organic bone broth, dill mustard, etc. And that's really all you got to type in. If you clicked Sam's Choice almond butter, you can see on the right, that picture shows a bunch of different almond butter listings. You can see the pictures are different. You've got an orange or red color, a yellow color, and a blue color. So we want to keep it as broad as we can because you're going to find all the different listings starting from that point. And so that's why we like to keep it broad. If you were to type in Sam's Choice creamy almond butter vanilla, the top one on that search result and the bottom one won't come up. It'll just be that middle result. Okay. So that's why we want to try to start broad with Sam's Choice and the product type, Sam's Choice almond butter. And then if you have to get specific with, slow roasted or vanilla or just creamy, that's where you start adding things after you've already done your broad search. Okay. And then also you can see over there, if I'm typing in, because I have an iPhone, again, I don't know if the Android app has this yet or not. They didn't for the longest time. Because I'm on an iPhone, if I'm typing in Sam's Choice, well, almond butter is the first thing to come up. But what about risotto? Maybe I should go look at the Sam's Choice risotto in the store that I'm at, or the Sam's Choice mustard in the store that I'm at, because you can use that as clues for other things to go search. So Keepa. The next thing that you want to do is to check Keepa. We've already talked about the importance, and you'll see even further. I've got a bunch or 4 different examples, I believe. You'll see even further why that's important. So you're going to be looking, and again, this will be more explained in the next slides, looking for dips in the green sales rank line. So there are 3 different things mainly that we're looking for on a Keepa chart. And there's a green sales rank. You want to make sure that that sales rank is dropping consistently. And again, I'll show you a picture here in a minute. You're going to check for the buy box price to be consistent. You want to see that the pink dots, or it's now a pink line, they changed a month or 2 ago. You want to make sure that price is consistent and not going up and down. If it's going up and down, then you can't trust that it will sell at a profitable price. So you have to make sure that you aren't buying something that is extremely volatile. And then it's also easier to ensure success for a long-term replen. If you see that it's been at the same price or almost the same price for a year, then you know it'll probably stick around for a while. And then you want to check the seller count box, which is the bottom box. It's a purple line. You want to make sure that the sellers are consistently coming on and falling off, and that they aren't just going straight up and to the right. And I have examples for that here in a second. So the first product example. Now, Ryan, this is the only example that was on the original presentation when we launched the course. And at the time,
I remember that.
You can see the price went up from a year ago. And at the time, there were 9 reviews on this product. There's 49 reviews. So this thing would have been an awesome replen for anybody that could have gotten it profitably back then, because the price has gone up. But so let's look at the Keepa chart. Whenever I was talking about that green sales rank line, that's in this top box. Okay, so you can see this has a bunch of activity. It's going up and down a lot. And whenever the sales rank is going up and then it drops, that's at least 1 sale has happened. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 at a time, but at least 1 sale has happened. So you can count on the fact that that is going to be a consistent seller because it's going up and down a lot. Okay. Now, the second thing we look at is those pink dots. And now, like I said, it's a pink line. For whatever reason, they changed it. I'm not sure why, but they did. Either way, we're looking at what has the price done over the last 3 months to a year. You can see that over the last year, it's generally trended up. So it's at about $5 higher than it was last year, which is awesome. There are times where it goes up and then drops back down, but it has stayed above that $10 price point very consistently, which is good. So if at $10 you're breaking even, then I would buy this product, because I know that at worst it drops to the point it was a year ago and I break even and get my money back. But at best, it'll sell probably around $12.50 to $13 based off of this Keepa chart. Okay. And then the last thing we look at, you can kind of skip the middle one. The middle one's almost, it's the sub sales ranks, like the subcategories for this main chart. So I don't really look at it too often because it looks very similar to the top one. But the last thing you want to look at is this purple line box at the bottom. It's the third one on the bottom. And that's the seller count. And that includes merchant fulfilled sellers and FBA sellers. And so, you know, it can be misleading sometimes, but for the most part, it's very helpful in you being able to see, well, what has this product been doing? And what's kind of the trend that I can expect. You can see in this example, it's going up and down, which means sellers are coming on and then they're dropping off, most likely because they're selling out of products. And so we try to look at this because we care about the trend. If this purple line was just going straight up and to the right and new sellers were coming on every day but not selling out, well, then you know that the price could eventually drop because more people are going to come onto the product. And it's not selling enough to keep up with the supply. So the price is going to have to drop because people start to get scared and they want to get out of that product. They just want to get rid of it. So if you're seeing something where the bottom line is going up and down, that means it's selling so much that people can't stay in stock, which is good for you because you want to make sure that it's selling consistently. so that you'll have a profitable product. So since this is actually from Dollar Tree, I believe, yeah, it's Greenbrier. Since this is from Dollar Tree, it's $4 for this, I believe, this 4-jar set, unless these two come together. I'm not 100% sure. I actually don't sell this product, but if it was $4, you'd make $5.26 at this price point. If it were to drop down, $2.50 to its average price point where it was the majority of the year, you'd still make a really good 50 to 60% ROI there. So next one. All right, this is also Greenbrier. I did 2 Greenbrier examples, and then I went away from that brand, but this is, again, from Dollar Tree. So this dog nail clippers cost $1. So this is a small profit because it's selling at $6.29. I say 29 cents because the FBA price is there. It's showing the low price, which is the lowest merchant fulfilled, but you'd make about $1.77. On this product. There's 177% ROI. And if you're selling 10 of them a month, that's pretty good. But let's take a look at the Keepa chart because it passes this test for ROI, profitability, etc. So then we're going to check the Keepa chart. Now, you can see for a while here, for whatever reason, in mid-April through May, and this is a 3-month chart, so we're looking at the last 3 months, it stopped selling. I'm not 100% sure why, other than there was no buy box price at this point. So it probably went up to a really high price and didn't sell during that time. Now, you can see that it was selling at about $5 fairly regularly back in April. You can see all the drops on that green chart. And so at $5 is where I'd want to make sure that I could at least break even at the worst. Obviously, you want to be profitable. So if you're newer, I would try to make profit at the worst case scenario. But this is still something that we need to know. What has it been at the lowest point over the last few months to a year? And you can see now it's selling for more money and that it's consistently dropping on the sales rank chart. So it's something that sells regularly, not a ton. It's a little slower, but the price, because it's such a low dollar amount for profit, can actually be a little bit, you have to be more careful because if the price were to drop $1.50, there goes all your profit. But it's still something to consider. This one I actually would not test. Partially because it used to sell at $5, and so we'd break even at that point. But then the next reason is because this seller count is going straight up and to the right, which means that more and more sellers are jumping on this listing and they aren't selling out. So we kind of explained that already, but here's an example of a chart that looks like this. And so this is telling me that this is going to probably keep going up and the price will start to drop back to the price it was at a few months ago. So I would avoid this product for that reason. Okay, so Archer Farms dark chocolate espresso trail mix 2-pack. So this is very typical of a listing that will sell. It's a 2-pack. You saw the first one was a 4-pack, and then the middle one was just a single nail clipper. But this 2-pack, this is from Target. It's an Archer Farms product. I have no idea how much this costs, but I wanted to show you this as an example. I would assume it probably costs about $5. Maybe I'm wrong, but that would be my guess. And a lot of times Target runs sales and stuff, but for Replens, you don't necessarily count on the sales, but like the discounts. So let's look at the Keepa chart. If this is profitable, if it does cost $5 a bag, that would give you a $5 profit, and it would cost you $10, so it's 50% ROI. And so we're looking at the green sales rank line. Okay, so first and foremost, this is selling really well. You can see it's going up and down very regularly, very consistently. Oh, not the wrong way. Very consistently. Now, the second thing we look at, so it passes the sales test. The second thing we look at is the pink dots or the pink line for the buy box. You can see for a while, the price was dropping down to about $15. And then for whatever reason, it's gone back up. I assume that's because of lack of supply because of COVID situation. So what I would be looking at here is, let's say worst case, this product drops back down to around $16, $17. Would I make money there or not? You want to know that if you're new, because you don't want to send in products that end up dropping and you lose money. But this is something that is fairly consistent in sales, so you know it will at least sell for you. You're not taking risks as to whether or not this thing will sell because you know it does. And then you can also see at the bottom chart, it's gone at the time when the price dropped, the sellers were going up. And then as the sellers sold out, the price went back up. And you can see the correlation between the two charts very well in this chart. So here you can see that the sellers are kind of out of stock based off of, 6 months ago, 7 months ago. So this would be something I'd probably test if, I could break even at this point, at the low point back in January, if that makes sense. So, and then my last example is a Craftsman impact wrench. And so this product would be, again, I don't know how much this costs, but this is something that there's only 4 FBA sellers on it. It's got a lot of reviews, which means it's selling well. And so we want to take a look at the Keepa chart. And on Keepa, you can see that the green sales rank line is dropping a lot. So it's selling very regularly. It's selling a ton, actually. You can see that the buy box price is very consistent. If you're looking at it from a trend perspective, it stays very consistent. I don't care as much about this little dip here back in September because it's more of an anomaly. And if you actually look down at the sellers, it's because the seller count shot straight up. So again, it correlates very well. So yeah, this price stays very consistent. Now, you have to make sure, because this price here is at $56.98, you have to make sure that back at this price where it mainly stayed at about $46, you have to make sure that's where you can make some money at. You don't want to expect to sell it at $56.98 and then it drops back to its normal price, kind of like it did here. So it went up to $56.98, then sold out and or got sellers on it and started selling at $47 again, and then jumped straight back up. But you want to make sure it's profitable here. If it is, then you want to also look at the seller count. The sellers have come on and come off because they've sold out, but they've stayed fairly consistent throughout the whole last year that we've been looking at this. So I would definitely test this if it's profitable at this middle point. Okay. All right. So first $10,000 in Replen sales. To get to this point, you need to have the right mindset. Like I said earlier, you need to go slow. You need to understand that you will be learning and that you'll find a lot of things that don't work, a lot of things that aren't replenishable products. While you're out there looking for products, you'll find things that are like, this is not good for me to sell. But while you're doing that, you're learning products that aren't good. You're learning products that are good, and you're really starting to figure out how to do this. Whenever Brittany and I first started Replens and selling them, we went out, we learned a lot, and it didn't go very fast. We had to go slow. But, as you get more proficient at it and get better at it, you'll continue to kind of get a sense for what a Replen product looks like and definitely how to find them if you've only got 30 minutes or an hour. So it's hugely important. The next thing is work ethic. It's not easy in terms of lack of work, to do this. You need to put in the work to make this work for you. So, and then cash flow. At this point, if you're at $0 and you're trying to start your first $10,000 in sales, you want to go for a higher profit and higher ROI Replens here, because you're wanting to make sure that whatever money you put into this will multiply faster. So take more time, look for higher ROI products, and also faster moving inventory. If it's something that sells twice a month or once every 60 days, you don't want to test that at this point because it's going to be something that moves slowly, and you need your money back so that you can reinvest it into your business. So look for faster moving inventory with higher profit and ROI. You need to learn Keepa during this time. So while you're out there sourcing, you'll be learning a lot about Keepa, and then learning how to find Replens at this stage. And then lastly, adding Replens, in the course. And a lot of times I'll just discuss 30 Replens in 30 days. If you just have that mindset of, I need to find my first 30 Replens, you can do that by finding one a day. You can do that by finding, 15 in 2 days. If you only have 2 days in a month, just go out there for a long time, or you can do it by finding eight a week or something like that. So just have that mindset of trying to find at least one a day while you're starting out in Replens. So our averages, just so you know from a numbers perspective, and these still hold true, our average selling price is around $15. And that's the sales price of that product. So they aren't $30, $40, $50 products. They aren't $5 or $10 products. Now we do have some that meet each of those points, but this is the average selling price. we average about 10 sales per month per replen. I actually looked today. Our most selling replen over the last 30 days was like 477 units. And obviously we have some that sell once or twice a month. So we average about 10 sales per month per replen. Yep, went over that. And then our current ROI average, so across our whole business, is around 70%. So if we're putting in $10 on a product, we are going to average making $7 on that product of profit. Whenever we started our business, so if you're at zero or you have less cash flow to work with, then our minimum ROI was 40%, and our average was well over 100% on replenishable products. And until we started outsourcing our business and getting employees, our average stayed over 100% for the longest time. So make sure to shoot high, and if you have to have a minimum of 100% ROI, then go for it. It might take you a little bit longer to find some products, but it'll be well worth it as your business grows. Just depends again on where you're at with your capital. So $10,000 math, how do we get here? Well, at the $15 average selling price, to hit $10,000 in sales, that's 667 sales per month. That sounds like a ton, right? And I know that can sound like a lot and can be overwhelming, but let's break it down a little further. If we average 10 sales per month per replen, okay, so it's 667 sales total divided by 10 per replen, that's 67 replens on average to hit $10,000 in the month for sales. So to find 67 replens, it takes about 2 to 3 months if you have the capital and you're finding at minimum 30 replens per month that sell with that 10 per month velocity. Okay. So I know there's a lot of numbers there. Essentially what it boils down to is try to find 30 replens in 30 days, do that for 2.5 months. And that amount of replens should, if you hit these same numbers that I've given you for averages, they should hit $10,000 per month in sales. If you have more capital or more time, then try to find 60 in 30 days. You don't have to find one a day. You can find 2 or 3 or 4 a day if you want. It's up to you, and then your business will grow exponentially from there. All right. So I want to show you, okay, if you hit $10,000 in sales per month, our average profit when we started, after everything, all of our expenses, was 30 to 35%. Okay. If you just profited 15%, which is half of what we did when we started, that's $1,500 in profit per month. That's incredible, especially for something as a side hustle. In this, if you're just doing it as a side income, if you profit 25%, it's $2,500 per month. And if you hit the 35%, that's obviously $3,500 per month. Everybody's numbers are going to be different, but still, that's pretty incredible that in 2.5, 3 months, you can hit that much in profit if you put in the work for that. I think that's awesome. And then obviously if you get 20,000 in sales, you're looking at $3,000 to $7,000 in profit, depending on what you're looking at or what your profit margin is. If you're at 20,000, you're probably hitting about the 25% profit margin unless you've outsourced to more people. And then obviously that'll cut into your profit. But Brittany and I did it without any employees. We got up to 22 or 27,000, something like that. We did it without any employees. So you can do that. And I know people that make it to 40,000 without employees. So it just depends on how much time and capital you have at that point. So focus on mindset and effort. So finding replens will get you here. And then leading versus lagging goals. I'm going to hit on this very briefly. This has been its own topic in the past, actually, in the replens group. But what you want to focus on is not $20,000 in sales. Or $10,000 in sales. That's a lagging goal. That is a result of the effort you're putting in. Okay. It lags behind the effort that you put in. What you want to focus on is the leading goals. So those leading goals are finding replens. If you find replens that meet the criteria on Keepa and your own profitability criteria, if you're finding replens, then the sales results will come from that. So focus on that leading goal of, okay, even if you want 67 replens or 70 replens, you got to focus on number 1, then number 2. You've got to focus on those goals over just the sales number. Okay. So just keep that in mind. I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to go through. Oh, I guess here. Yeah, Replen Potential. So anybody that's thinking bigger of what you can do with Replens, private label ideas can come from this. We have 15 products. A lot of them have come from Replens we were selling that ended up, we were like, well, we could sell this. We could find a supplier for this and follow Ryan's proven private label course and do that method. Wholesale opportunities. So we've got 10 products that all sell over 100 units in 30 days, over the last 30 days. And 5 or 6 of those products are all from exclusive wholesale opportunities we got from Replens. So there's huge opportunity there. Distributors, you can order in bulk. There is a student in our course that I just did an interview with that's doing over $300,000 a month in Replens doing this model. They find a Replen, they test it, they find the distributor, and then they buy it in bulk. So it's a huge opportunity. And then bundle ideas, obviously you'll get a lot of bundle ideas because you'll be looking at them quite often whenever you're finding Replens. So that's the bigger picture, what you can do after you really get into Replens. So if you want to learn more, we've got the 0 to 100K Replens course. It's on sale right now at 90% off. It's $29. So provenamazoncourse.com/Replens. There is a Facebook group for continuing training. It's only $9 a month. I do at least one webinar a month in there, but I'm in there almost every day answering questions. We have a bunch of people. I think it's almost 1,900 people now in that group. So a lot of people are very experienced since it's been a year, and a lot of people are very willing to help. It is free for 30 days if you get the course. So, we at least want you to experience it first before you have to pay for it. But yeah, that's where you can learn more if you want more in-depth training on it. So
stuff, Jimmy, you got because I've done this so many times with you now, I know a lot of these answers.
Yeah,
but let me real quick. So we're going to have some PAC students I know that are they're going to ask about how they get into just the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen real quick.
Go for it. Yeah. Yeah. So if you have PAC, you don't have to buy it. It's in PAC.
But if you're a member of the Proven Amazon course, but you want to get into the Facebook group, there is a charge for that. And let me show you where to do that just for that $9 a month deal.
Yeah.
Share my screen. Let's see. Okay. So this is the back end of the learning portal, just go to the RA Replenish course, and it's the last module. You click that, it brings you to this. If you click this, it brings you to the page where you can add it to cart. It's $9 a month. You can try it out. If you decide to jump out, no problem. You're not signing a forever commitment or anything, but
right.
Just go to the back end of the learning, the SSM, learning.silentsalesmachine.com, go to the RA Replenish course, and it's the last module, and you can get in there.
Cool.
Okay, let's see here. So Dan, what does the Facebook group include? Support, community, ongoing training from Jimmy is the main thing.
Yeah. And there's some extra files and things that I've put in there over the last year that, are kind of bonuses for being in the group. But, if you get in there free for 30 days, you can, access that too. So,
right. All right. So guys, so the ones I answered, I was able to answer, but then, so we got some questions here. Anonymous, nice numbers, but margin. This was early on when you were saying your numbers. Okay. Where are you at right now with approximate profit?
Yeah. So, again, I'll just explain. Whenever we were brand new, it was just me and Brittany, we were at about 30 to 35% profit margin regularly. As we've hired employees, we have 12 employees now, and we've got a VA or two. And so our profit margin averages 14 to 16% per month. So that's where we're at after all expenses, which I'm extremely happy with.
Okay, Keith's in the group already. Is in the middle of the 30 replens in 30 days module. Should I move forward on the lessons before I have my 30 replens, or wait until I have the 30 replens to go forward?
It's kind of up to you. I can't remember exactly where that module is in the course. If the next one is 10 to 40,000, if that's the next module, then I would probably try to find 30 replens first. But if the next one is another sourcing webinar, then I would go to the next one, and maybe you'll learn some extra things to help you find more products.
Do you know if coaching students get the Replens group for free?
I don't know about the group. I know that obviously the course, but
Of course
I
it's
think they could probably email support at silentsalesmachine.com and find out. I don't remember.
free. Tim's asking about, been trying to find replens. By what you just said, I'm getting a lot of quote restricted. Why do I get so much restricted products?
Yeah, so as a new seller, and it also depends if you have a professional account, which is an FBA account, or a merchant fulfilled account. But as a new seller, there's going to be more restrictions. You can, what you can do is focus on the categories that you're not restricted in. So home, kitchen, I believe outdoors, like lawn and garden, usually aren't restricted. There's a bunch of products out there. Arts and crafts, I don't believe, are restricted. There's a bunch of different categories that you can source in. Now, you might also be running into brand restrictions, which, that's just something that's going to happen. If you're running into like a Heinz product or something, that could be restricted across the board for everybody. So it just takes time. As you start to find products and you send them in and your account gets more traction, you get reviews and sales, then Amazon will start to open things up for you, and you can request to be ungated in those products.
Are most of your replens individual items or bundles or sets?
About 65% of our replens are multi-packs, bundles, sets. The rest are single units, I believe. About that. That's what it was 5 or 6 months ago. So I don't think it's changed much.
All right. Do you use information from the statistic box in Keepa?
We do sometimes, yeah. I mean, and I go over that a little bit in the course. But yeah, so the statistics box, really the only thing I look at is the sales rank. I look at the drops just to see what that's done. Just because it's an extra piece of data that I can see, okay, well, it drops 20 times a month on average. So that's at least 20 sales. So I'm going to buy 6 of these things to send into Amazon and make sure they sell profitably.
Okay. Peter's asking in the Facebook group, when searching and finding something, will you pass on it if there are over a certain number of FBA sellers already on it?
I don't look at the number of FBA sellers. We kind of talked in the webinar about the trend. So if the trend of sellers is going up and to the right, then I'll pass on it. But if it's got 100 sellers on it and it used to have 500 sellers on it, I'd send it in because that means a lot of sellers are selling out and they'll probably continue to sell out. That's an extreme example, but for the most part, we just look at the trend.
Okay. Tons. Do FBA sellers get priority on the buy box? Yes, usually.
Usually,
right?
Yeah.
Things were weird a little during COVID with the merchant fulfilled.
Right. Yeah. No, usually they do. They've started to open up merchant fulfilled buy box a little bit, but it's still much more heavily weighted FBA.
One is asking, with the recent changes to Amazon showing sales rank for variations of the same product, how do we navigate this info in Keepa when sourcing? You did a video on that.
I did a video on that in the Facebook group. So that's a little bit more in depth. Essentially, what I said is look at review count if you can. So if you're doing online arbitrage, you can take a look at, like, if you have a rev seller software program or what's the Legends one? I always forget the name. There's a legendary one that's free if you're in Legends. That's basically
legendary analysis.
Yeah, I think so.
Or toolkit.
That might be it. Toolkit. Yeah, legendary toolkit. That's it. If you've got legendary toolkit or rev seller, then you can use that to look at the variations and see if there's been reviews on that product. That's the gist of it. Other than that, you can look at seller count. If the seller count that hasn't changed, I don't believe that they are connected. So the seller count is still separate per variation. So if the sellers are going up and down, then that's a good sign. If the sellers are going up, then that's a bad sign.
Okay. What is the green line, a sales rank that has a few peaks and valleys, but then for the past 3 weeks, it flatlined towards the bottom of the sales rank? Does that mean that the item is selling so fast that
that's a variation.
Rank is not changing?
That was probably a variation. So if you look at the listing, it most likely has 1 or 2 other variations. So it could have a 1-pack, a 2-pack, a 4-pack of that same product. And so that's what happened. That was what the last question was referring to. Amazon made some change that, kind of throws off the Keepa charts a little bit for products in the grocery category. And I believe it's only in the grocery category. There might be other ones, but yeah, so if you're looking at that product, it went from a normal sales rank line to it joined with the parent ASIN. And in that case, it's the most popular product. So it will be deceiving. So I would look at the old sales rank history, for the past 3 to 6 months. or look at the review count if you can, or look at the seller count if you can.
Okay. Laura's asking, do you buy mostly retail stores or through wholesalers?
We buy mostly through retail stores. However, our best products are through wholesalers that we found, actually not wholesalers, brands. So direct to the manufacturer that we found because they were replens before that we couldn't keep in stock, or that became, out of stock at the stores we were buying them at.
Okay. Julie's asking, does selling replens work, or is it profitable for selling outside the U.S.?
Oh yeah, there's tons of international sellers in our group that have done really well with it. So yeah, it works. It's the same concepts, right? You're looking for what the product is on whatever platform you're selling on, and you can look at Keepa, and the majority of those platforms, I would double check depending on which platform, but you can look at Keepa usually to help you make that decision.
Okay. Steven's asking, do you know in PAC, the Replens course talks about store brand list. Where in PAC is this list? Are you sure?
That is in the Facebook group.
Okay.
So since we did that live, it's all through the Facebook group. But yeah, if you aren't in the Facebook group, you can join for free, get the list, and use it and stay for 30 days.
Yep. Okay. Okay. If buying from Walmart, like outside the U.S., do you know if you have to have a U.S. credit card? Do they accept international credit cards, or do you know a store? I know people do this from outside the U.S.
So if you're buying from Walmart.com,
Like if you live outside the
outside
U.S.,
the
do you
US,
do you have to have a U.S. credit card, or do you know folks that are?
I'm not sure of that. I heard somebody say something that I think you might, but you can get a U.S. credit card. I mean, you could open your business here or use a prep center here or something. I think you could probably post that question in my silent team and get a bunch of good answers from people that know for sure.
Okay. All right. Do you look for a different ROI for a higher price item that requires a higher investment or versus a lower price item?
Let me think about that. Not necessarily. I mean, I'll be more willing to go to a lower ROI if it's a more expensive product, because, if let's say I paid $50 and I can make 15, well, that's, 30% ROI, but it's $15. So I have more room if the price does drop. So yeah, I mean, I'd be more willing to drop the ROI if it made sense based off the Keepa chart.
How much of a Replens is food?
35%.
Okay. All right. How do we get tax exempt on purchases in retail stores?
That's going to vary by state. Some states are already tax exempt based off the products, but most of the time you just need your retail sales license, and you can use that to be a tax exempt entity.
Okay. Gosh, I'm missing Brittany with she was firing away all the
Oh yeah,
coming in both places.
Yeah, sorry, she's not here right now. Yeah.
Samantha, the name of the list in the Facebook group was, is it just called a store brand list?
I believe so. Yeah, I think you actually posted it. I think it's maybe private label brands list or private label store.
Oh, there's a private label store brands.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. Do you use mostly regular price retail stores, or do you use discount retail stores too?
Oh, no, it's pretty much all regular price. We don't buy anything. Well, very little do we buy at a discounted price. Yeah, it's all regular price. Whether it's Target or it's a regional store or a local store, it's almost always regular price.
How do you avoid IP and counterfeit claims?
Because these are replens, we're not dealing with as high of, I guess, products that have so much interest. Now that will still happen. And in the Facebook group, I have templates for dealing with IP and counterfeit claims that have worked very well for us and other people that have used them. But for the most part, we actually get less IP and counterfeit claims than we did when we sold clearance products, because those clearance products are usually like the hot toy or Nike shoes or, something like that. So they're going to be a little more conscious, versus if you're looking at store brands or a regional product, they're going to have less lawyer presence essentially on Amazon.
Okay, Barbara, he's using he's doing FBA.
Mm-hmm.
versus merchant fulfilled. Edward, how often do you quote retire a product or stop selling it, and how often are you adding new products?
So we have people that are constantly adding new products for us, and our drop-off rate. And so this is also, I've got a template for this in the course, but our drop-off rate's about 5%. It might be 5 to 7% at this point. I haven't looked in about a year, but about 5% is what we were seeing is every month those replens would drop off. And so that could be because the price has dropped, a bunch of sellers have jumped on, and so our sales velocity is slowed. It could be any number of reasons, but about 5% of them drop. So if you have 100 replens that month, you might lose 5, but if you're finding another 30, then you're net positive. So that's what we try to do, is constantly add so that your business can constantly grow. And then a year from now, those products that fell off, you can probably go back and check, and they might actually be good again.
Hey, can you, Callan, I'm gonna put into bed just so need like 30 seconds. Can you see these questions in Zoom?
Yeah, the Q&A.
Yeah, and just you go rapid fire down through them. I'll go back. I'll go through and do the Facebook ones as best I can.
Okay, I saw some people posting in chat too, but
yes.
Okay,
guys,
okay.
if you're in Zoom, please try to post in the Q&A because I'm missing questions in the chat.
Right. Okay, I'm good.
Right.
So Lynn asked, I often come across items that should be selling for about $20, regular store price, but the price listed on Amazon is $60. Why is that? So I assume that you're saying, like, why is there that price difference between the, whatever store you're at and what it's selling for on Amazon? If that's the question, then that's just because people on Amazon want to get it in 1 or 2 days, if possible. And, they're willing to not have to go to the store and do all the work and drive however far it is. Or think about people that live in New York City or, major metropolitan areas or city areas. They might not be able to go to the store without a 2-hour drive because of traffic. So a lot of people are willing to pay more and get it on their doorstep from a trusted place like Amazon. So hopefully that helps. When starting from scratch and with minimal startup capital, would you go with OA, RA, or Replens, or a mixture? Thanks. So Replens is OA and RA to me. So if you're talking about clearance or Replens, I 100% would do Replens. Just because minimal startup capital means that you're risking more if you're doing clearance products than if you're doing replenishable products that you can test out and are going to be able to sell at least consistently based off Keepa. So I would do Replens. Retail arbitrage has a little bit more lower hanging fruit because not everybody has access to those regional products that might be in your area. Online arbitrage, though, is very good for us as well. So it just depends on your time and how much effort you can put into that. But I would personally, I like retail stores and doing that just because that's how we started. But hopefully that helps. How does Replen startup cost compare? I assume you said to RAOA. The startup cost is probably the same. I mean, you can do it with $100, no problem. It just takes you longer with the less money that you have to start with, obviously. What kind of person is best for an employee to shop, and how much is fair to pay someone per hour to do this task? So what kind of person depends, let's see. We pay, it'll depend on per state. For us, we start them at $11 per hour after 30 days and they're trained and they're doing well. We bump them to 12. And anybody that does really well, we'll give them raises from there. As far as what kind of person is best for an employee to shop, really anybody that likes to shop or has the time, maybe 5-10 hours a week, just even part-time is probably best. I wouldn't want somebody to do this 40 hours a week because it can be draining as a job. If you're not making hundreds of dollars from this, if you're the person making $12 an hour, 40 hours a week can get a little long. So I would suggest anybody that can do about 10 hours a week, 10 to 20 if possible. But, we've got some that do about 5 hours a week as well. I heard there was a Keepa tutorial. Where can I find it? That's in our Facebook group for the course. We've got a couple of different Keepa tutorials. I've got a standard operating procedure. It's 17 pages, I think, for how to read Keepa charts. And there's a lot there. Any categories you stay away from? No, we sell in pretty much any category that I can think of. I mean, there might be some that I don't know about maybe, but we don't purposely stay away from anything as much as we can just because there's so much out there. I mean, why would I? I guess, well, okay, electronics. I haven't looked at Replens there, so maybe that's one I stay away from. We used to sell electronics clearance, and that was something that we just had a couple bad experiences with, so we stayed away from it. But since we've been doing Replens, I've never tried to look in electronics. How do you know which brands to steer clear of? Well, I mean, a lot of times they're going to be restricted. For the most part, I think that there's like different lists out there that you can find for free, I think, that can tell you, hey, stay away from this brand. But we usually, if it's a major brand, a lot of times we don't sell it, not on purpose, but a lot of times there's too many sellers on it. But that's usually where you'll find issues, or major national brands. But sometimes it'll be smaller brands. I mean, it's hard to tell. If you send in a couple, usually you're fine. And if not, as long as you have the receipts to prove that the product was new and legitimate from a distributor, then you should be fine. So we, knock on wood, haven't had huge issues with any of that. So every seller should be getting a retail license in order to get tax exempt. Which pack module addresses this? So to get tax exempt, it's not every seller, because some states are tax exempt completely. But most states, there's going to be different paperwork. And in most states, that is a retail sales license, which is worth getting it. I'm not sure which pack module would address it, because each state is different. So I would look at your Secretary of State's website and find out that information if possible, or ask like a local accountant or something to help you with that. Is it better to do products that you can attach to existing listings, or create a new listing if the product does not have a listing on Amazon? So that's a great question. I didn't address that. So we're specifically talking about not creating our own listings here. Again, this is the lowest hanging fruit on Amazon, essentially. How can we find products and listings that are already selling and then sell on those listings as well? That's how Keepa works, is because it's already an existing listing. So we're not talking about creating new listings. That would be looking at the bundle course or the proven private label course, all of those other ones that are in pack. So we're talking strictly about attaching to an existing listing only. Why do people want to pay more than retail for a hammer on a consistent basis? I know it's not the same for Forgetful Carpenter. Well, so when we're talking about hammers and stuff like that, it's not people buying them regularly. Like you said, it's not the same Forgetful Carpenter. It's usually multiple different people that are like, I need a hammer. I'm going to look up a Craftsman hammer, and they just find one and they're like, okay, $50 is great. And they pay for it. Same with food. I need to shop. I don't want to go to the store, especially now in the COVID situation, or my store closes too early, whatever it might be. I'm just going to go to Amazon and order it, and it'll be on my doorstep, and they're happy. It's about saving people time and providing that service for them. And so, yeah, the people are willing to pay more to get it in 1 or 2 days at a fairly decent price a lot of times. What do you suggest paying someone to go out and buy Replens for you? We pay $11 to start, and after they're trained, $12 an hour. Again, that depends on minimum wage in your area and all of that. But you have a problem with price gouging complaints since you buy at a retail price and have to raise the price. We've seen price gouging complaints, but I don't have a problem with it. But it's not like we're getting those every day. I think I might have gotten 3 or 4 in like the last 6 months. So, I mean, it's very rare. So I don't have a problem with it. And usually if it's a feedback, you can get that removed, because they're not allowed to leave feedback on your seller account about price. And if it's just a question or a statement by somebody, it's never really an issue. No need to even address it usually. But where in the course can I find the IP claim course of action? That is in the Facebook group, Carlos. So if you go to the Facebook group, there's IP or performance templates in the files section. And it's got 5 or 6 different templates for all the different performance things that can come up. What's your monthly inventory spend at 10K and 40K in sales? So that'll depend on your ROI and profit. So what our monthly inventory spend was at 10K was about $3,000 to $3,500 of spend, because then we would profit about that at same exact amount. And at 40K, again, if you're doing a ROI of over 100% and you're profiting, 30% across the board, then you're probably spending $12,000 to $15,000 a month. If your ROI is less, then you're spending between $15,000 to $20,000 a month. It just depends on what ROIs you're shooting for. Are all products listed as FBA, or do you pack some and ship directly? 90 8% of our products are FBA. We do pack some, especially over the last few months. We did do fulfilled by merchant, and we actually used a prep center for that instead of ourselves. So we would ship stuff to them and use them to ship it for us. So we didn't have to worry about that. Cool. That's all in the Q&A. Let me check chat, I guess.
So I've got some questions from earlier.
Okay.
What's the secret to find 50 replens in a day? And do you hit more than one store a day?
What's the secret to find 50 in a day? Just time. We can find, Brittany and myself, just the two of us can find over 100 in a day. And, we don't have to hit more than one store a day. But if you're talking about the proven replen training, where we come in person with you, we guarantee 50 replens, and we usually hit 3 stores just because we like to give you an experience of different stores and how they work and what types of products and all of that. I see a question in here. Will you update the Keepa training PDF to include what's happened recently? Or are we hoping everything goes back to normal? I didn't update the PDF, but I did do an updated video. It all holds for the most part true, but I am hoping that it goes back to normal. If that variation change sticks around for a long time, then I'll probably update it. But that's why I made a video for now, just to, in the group, so everybody knew kind of how to read it. Yeah.
So you got some more questions and popping up in the Q&A now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. There's still questions in there.
I'll try to answer.
How much do you train your employees? Do you give them the whole course to study? I have a whole module on that in the actual course. We spend a month with them, and we pretty much try to get them independent. And we don't give them the course at all, because we have people that just do shopping and people that just do prep and ship, and it doesn't necessarily apply across the board. So when do you start Q4 planning and buying? Lynn, we actually do not do that anymore. Because we just strictly stay with replens. We can do that. We haven't done it though, or at least last year we didn't do it. The year before we did, but we were just getting into replens 2 years ago. So I would start, if you're going to start Q4 planning and buying, I would start July to August personally. Yeah. Do you reinvest a certain percentage of your profit back into the business for a certain amount of time, or when do you start taking profits? I would reinvest every dollar you can until you have to take out the money. So that's my personal opinion. That's what we did. At a certain point, yeah, if you've got extra money and you're like, you know what, I want to start making X amount per month, then start drawing from it. But it'll obviously slow your growth, the less amount you can put back into your business. There's no set time. As long as you can hold off is what I always suggest. So with my Android, I can use the seller app and Keepa in store. Yes, Samantha, you can with your Android. And actually Keepa has an app for Android where they don't have an app for iPhone. So do you have any success at drugstores such as CVS and Walgreens? We do. At your current level, how many current replens do you have now? Okay, great question. Before COVID, and all of our stuff sold out. A lot of our stuff sold out. We were over 1,000 different SKUs. Now we're at about 500 to 600, but the velocity is so high that we can't keep things in stock. So that's why we're over 1,000 at this point, if that helps anything. You don't need that many. It's not a requirement, but obviously that's what we chose to do. All right, that's it for in here. Anything on Facebook?
Oops.
I see you answered a lot of these in the chat.
And Peter's question is Keepa free, no joy at $17 a month.
Correct. It used to be free, but I'm glad they switched it to paid, because that means they'll stay for longer. I was always worried they'd stop doing what they did.
That's a necessary tool. Yeah. You answered this before. What's your average profit margin?
So whenever it was just me and Brittany, no employees, our profit margin was about 30 to 35%. And with employees, we're between like 14 and 16 usually. I mean, there are some months where we're over 20 and some months where we're at like 9%, but that's because we had huge inventory purchases or something changed. So we average 14 to 16.
Do you get resistance from the stores when you go in and buy out their stock, or do they not care?
It would depend. We really don't get much resistance for the most part. But yeah, I mean, some stores, especially if it's regional, they'll be happy to see you buying a bunch of stuff because they need the business, or especially local. But yeah, we don't get much resistance.
Peter, you asked in the Facebook group, when does the course start? It's already done. We're just, he's constantly adding new content to it, but the 8 modules are finished. Answered that one. Yes, David Keepa does have a bot for Facebook Messenger. That's right.
It does, yeah.
How do you add product on the seller app? Enter the product and apply to sell. Do you teach about step-by-step how to add product? No, that would be in the Proven Amazon course.
Yeah. Amazon 101 course probably has that in pack.
You use your resale certificate at each store. Yeah, as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as much as we can. Like if you're going to Walmart, they've got their own system and card. If you're going to a Dollar Tree or I guess a Dollar General, they've got their own system and card thing, like paper. Each store will be different. All you have to do when you go up to the counter is be like, hey, I'm tax exempt. What do you need from me? And they'll usually give you whatever they need. Sometimes they just need a copy of your certificate. Sometimes they need you to fill out a form. That's pretty basic.
Danny, the course inside pack is being updated with all new content. Just adding, he's adding new like webinars monthly in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about updating. Yep. Eventually, I'm sure he will do something like that.
Yeah.
Doreen, yes, there is a different Facebook group for the Replens. Debbie's asking, do they ever send somebody to check on you, security, when you're in the store for that long?
That's happened one time. And it was the manager at Walmart. And I was actually in the clearance aisle. That was before Replens. But because I was scanning products, which looks, I think, a little bit more suspicious than when you're typing into your phone, because you would just be texting. But yeah, that's happened one time. And it was fine. I told her, I was like, hey, I actually am looking to buy this stuff to sell it online. She was like, oh, okay. And then she left. She didn't ask me any other questions, which was odd, but
they want to sell and you want to buy.
Yeah.
Great question from Brad. Thank you for this webinar. Is helping everyone for you a passion, or is the course also a business you rely on?
No, it's absolutely a passion. I love teaching people. It's been amazing. I mean, it hasn't even been a year. It's been 11 months to see all of the success and all the people that have come through. And I love teaching and helping people. So, I mean, I'm in the Facebook group quite a bit, at least once or twice a day. So yeah, love helping people.
Okay.
I see Joy said it's nice to meet me tonight. So nice to meet you,
nice.
Joy.
Yes, Jim says, right. Yeah, if you don't want to stay in the store for hours, fill in the shelves. Look at the recording later. Absolutely, people do that.
Yeah.
So cool. Guys, I guess we have one more question in Zoom here. 2. Oh, man, you can just keep going. We should probably cut it off here soon so Jimmy doesn't stay here forever, but he loves doing this.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah.
Yes, there is a recording inside the My Silent Team Facebook group. Dan wants to buy you a beer the next time he's in St. Louis.
Okay. Appreciate that, Dan.
So cool. Well, guys, let's cut it off there. If you have questions, go to the Facebook group. There's a thread going on there. You feel free to ask Jimmy questions, but it's provenamazoncourse.com/replens. Would love to have you in there. If you're in the Proven Amazon course already, just remember you can go to and want to join the Facebook group, the Replen Facebook group, go to the last module and it's there. You can jump in there. It's just $9 a month. You can jump out anytime if you don't feel it's for you. But Jimmy, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for being on here with me too.
Man. Guys, appreciate you. Jim, thanks for letting us do this. It's an honor to serve this community. And guys, we'll see you in the group. Hey, thanks everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks.